And we are live.
Well, good evening, everybody. This is Tim Terranova, the proud superintendent of the Victor Central School District. And joining me at tonight's town hall is our assistant superintendent for business, Derek Felice. Hi, Derek. Welcome. Hey. Glad you could join us or join me about 30 yards down the hallway in your own office. I like that. This is the special town hall presentation on our school district proposed budget that the Board of Education adopted on April 6th. That budget is going to the voters on May 17th. Derek and I are going to spend a little bit of time reviewing the budget and going over the numbers and the concepts and the strategy and philosophy behind it. You could enter your questions on Facebook if you like. We're trying to keep track of those questions as usual. If you have any, type them up, send them on Facebook, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. Derek, you're keeping track of those in case we get any. So if we get any, just let me know and we could talk about it. Before I get into the PowerPoint and the more specific discussion on the budget, I do want to just take a minute and remind everyone of the history, especially the last 2 years of the Victor Central School District. For many years, the Victor Central School District was significantly underfunded by the state. As you know, our enrollment significantly increased between the mid 90s and 2000s. Went from anywhere under 2,000 students to over 4,000 students. And the state, right around 2008, 2009, froze the state aid formula, where we lost state aid for over 1,000 students that we ended up gaining after that. That caused a significant budget deficit for many years and caused significant understaffing in a variety of departments. And it was just thankfulness to the community and the incredibly hardworking staff and faculty that the district was so well regarded during that time. But it certainly was underfunded, had one of the lowest, if not I think it was the third or fourth lowest per pupil expenditure in the entire state. And again, we were significantly underfunded. And then in the spring of 2020, right at the beginning of COVID, this Victor Central School District community did an incredible job and voted to exceed the tax cap, which needed a 60% or above yes vote. That significantly built up our tax base, which has made a huge difference in our finances. That year, that was that was in the June of 2020, because that year the budget vote was delayed a month because of COVID. That was for the 2021 school budget. It allowed us not to add positions, but to keep the existing positions and then start to build up our reserves, which were dangerously low at that time. Then for the 2021 school year, as you know, we dealt with that. And then for the 2021 vote for the 21-22 school year, this school year, we had two major positives happen to us. The state finally, thanks to significant advocacy from not only the Victor Central School District Board, but many boards of education across the state, the PTSAs across the state, many the school board associations across the state. We actually benefited significantly because they finally right-sized our state aid formula last year for this year, at least significantly higher than it was, closer to the 80-85% range out of 100% what we should get. And that, in addition to federal stimulus money because of COVID, gave us some significant revenue we never had before, which allowed us to increase some of the positions for this school year, although we are still, as I've said many times, significantly understaffed in many other areas, which we're going to talk about tonight. So the two big ahas from this, the incredible positive accomplishments, are one, the community's vote from the summer of 2020, June of 2020 for the 2020-2021 budget. That was a huge game changer for us. And then last year, getting the state aid for this year right-sized in terms of the state aid formula and then the federal stimulus money. Now, you have to be careful of federal stimulus money because that's not revenue that you can use over and over again. It's not consistent or sustainable revenue. It's one-time revenue, and you have to be careful to make sure you utilize one-time expenses for that type of federal stimulus money, which we did primarily around technology and much of our summer programming that we're doing this summer and next summer. So that's kind of a general concept, and that is, which has led us now to where we are with the 21-22 school budget. We're very excited about this. I'm going to go over the first couple of pages. I'm going to share the screen, and then Derek, who is the expert among us and has really been the leader in driving our budgetary process, will explain more of this. So again, this is a presentation on the 2022-23 budget. Let's just make sure I can, here we go. Agenda for tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about the impact on the 22-23 expense budget. The personnel additions that are really important to right size many of our areas of staffing that are needed to support kids, overall expenses, overall revenues, the school taxes and what we anticipate school tax increases to be for next year, and then some important propositions that we are also adding to the budget vote for May. And at the end, we'll just again review the budget vote and school board election information. So impact on the 22-23 expense budget. This is what's going to cause our budget to budget increase to be a little over 7% between this year and next year. And I want to be really careful how we utilize terms and the clarity around what they mean. So budget to budget means the total budget for this year compared to the total budget for the 22-23 school year. And why we're going to have that increase of around a little over 7% is we are adding significant amount of positions, 32.9 to be exact, for next year. We have the general contractual salary increases that are contractually based that we need to deal with. Health insurance is significantly increasing for next year, above 20%. That is something we had to factor into. It's close to $2 million, if not more, of an increase. We're working with our health consortium to try to stabilize this amount and these increases over time. That's a consortium of many school districts in the Wayne Finger Lakes area that set this rate. And we're trying to have, honestly, more input into some of the decision making of that. But that is a significant insurance increase. We're also adding $150,000 to purchase new maintenance vehicles and lawnmowers so that we're able to properly take care of our facilities and not have significant repair bills. And certainly we continue to have increased technology equipment budgets for the one-to-one technology initiative that is increasing next year across 2 to 3 more grade levels in our district. So these are the main factors contributing to a budget to budget increases that is pretty significant. That significant budget to budget increase, as I talked about, includes these positions. And these are really important to us because, as I said before, as recent as 2 years ago, we were significantly understaffed, not only compared to many districts around us, if not all the districts around us, especially districts of comparable size, but to the state guidelines for many of these areas. So what we've needed to do is we added positions for next year to compensate for our enrollment. It's not necessarily a significant increase in enrollment. We think we're going to be relatively flat for next year, but it's stabilizing some of our class sizes, especially at the elementary level. We're adding a 1.0 FTE for instructional and curricular leadership. We've shifted positions around, but ultimately that's going to be a 1.0 FTE in the teacher's realm, not the administrator's realm, to support a teacher on special assignment. Certainly, you'll see the next 3, which are 5.0 FTE increase in social emotional learning support, as well as a 10.0 FTE increase in special education. We are significantly understaffed in these areas. And that is why we need to add these positions to stay within state guidelines, especially for special education, as well as support the needed areas. I want to say that, and I didn't say it at the beginning, but again, you all have heard me and many of us talk about the strategic plan. Our strategic plan, our 5-year strategic plan starts in July of 2022. We are going to create a management plan from that. So we have a 1-year management plan that's tied to the 5-year strategic plan. And that 1-year management plan will drive our focus areas for next year. As we look at our strategic plan, two major areas are the social emotional health of our kids and making sure that our culture, not only our culture is positive, but the social emotional well-being tied to culture is actually, supported at the highest levels. And certainly special education is a major focus area of our strategic plan moving forward. So these additions fit right into the strategic plan. We're adding 1.5 positions in academic intervention services, 1.2 FTEs for instructional technology support. We currently have probably one of the least staff technology offices in the entire area. This 1.2 will still have us understaffed compared to many of the areas, but will be a significant help to us as we increase grade levels that are operating with one-to-one technology. Music, art, and physical education, we're adding additional student supports, which really, when you see student support there, that's a 3.0 FTE. We're talking about teacher aides at the kindergarten level, so that we can have a teacher aide in every kindergarten classroom to support the kindergarten teachers, which we really believe is critical for our youngest learners. We are finally going to be able to add a district security supervisor, as well as additional security guards to support the safety and health and well-being of our staff, and especially of our staff and our students. So district level and building level security has been a major issue that I've heard about since I started. We're excited about this 3.0 FTE addition there to support our staff and our students. Some additional clerical support of 1.3 positions, and we continue to increase our cleaning staff, along with shifting potentially some of the positions in cleaning so that we can actually fill those positions with a higher pay hourly rate, and so that we can increase our ability to clean our buildings at the highest level. That total is 32.9 and with a cost of approximately $2.05 million. And again, that is a significant number of additions of staff. The key is that we believe that once we get these positions, we can stabilize our staffing increases. We still have some areas we need to look at, and we certainly have to be cognizant around potential enrollment growth over the next few years. But this will go a significantly long way into stabilizing the number of staff that we need to really support our kids. I'm going to turn it over now to Derek, who's going to talk about our overall expenditures.
Thank you, Dr. Terranova. On your screen is going to be a year-to-year comparison, 2021-22, which is the current school year, and the next school year. As you can see, our largest increases dollar-wise is around our staff, specifically almost $2.7 million in salaries, along with $3 million in benefits. As Dr. Terranova shared, a large part of that fringe benefit increase is the health insurance, but there are also fringe benefits such as payroll taxes and pension contributions, which is a percentage of salaries. So as salaries go up, those fringe benefits also go up. If we look at large increases in the form of percentages, we have the equipment budget moving at 82%, and that is, again, those maintenance equipment of the lawnmowers and the maintenance trucks that you see around campus removing snow. So that investment into the equipment is there. And then software, we're making a large investment with this one-to-one initiative of getting software into the classrooms, and we're more than doubling that budget. And lastly is our tuition. So this is special education tuition mostly. There is a little bit of a charter school tuition. So as kids with special needs and we can't facilitate those needs, they get pushed out into other districts, private placements, and that's what those represent. So overall, the budget, we're looking at an increase of just under $6 million or a little over 7%, which if you were to look at a different slide.
Next one.
Yep. So this is currently the 21-22 school year, as you can see. That was the left column on the previous slide. And the majority of our money that we spend is about addressing students' needs with our personnel. So about half of our money goes right to salaries and another quarter of it goes right to fringe benefits. And that's for the current school year. So with the change in the budget for next year, Dr. Terranova, again, you're still seeing that significant investment in personnel. But fortunately this year our debt is decreasing a little bit and BOCES is picking up a little bit of it. So again, the year-to-year budget comparison, the primary use of our funds is going to be paying for our people. So building the building level, you're going to see a significant increase of the early childhood, while in percentage wise, and that's a little misleading because some of it was just staff that had been moved from building to building and they were just on the accounting side, just not put on the right side. So we right-sized the district budget and moved people into the proper building. And then you're also going to see a large increase in district instruction. Some of this is that strategic plan that Dr. Terranova has shared. There's also a significant investment in professional development for staff, just so then we can provide the appropriate instruction. So in the beginning of our presentation, we were talking about our cost per pupil. So this is Victor compared to our neighboring counties. So Victor is part of Monroe, Wayne, and Ontario County. If we were to look at our neighboring counties for the current school year, we're projected to spend about $18,000 per student, where all of our neighboring schools are over $25,000. And then even with the proposed budget for us for next year compared to the other school districts, we're still not catching up to per pupil expenditures, but we're making significant efforts to get there and provide the adequate support for our students. So this is more drilling down on the information. So on an average, we're behind the other school district, but this is actually looking school to school. So to the far left, you can see Victor. We are far behind what all the other schools are providing for funding for our students. And even with the new proposed budget with a significant increase in funding per pupil, we would only surpass one school, but I would guess that Monroe number 6 will end up jumping us with their new budget as well. So we're making significant strides in catching up to the other school districts and providing the adequate funding for our kids.
Yeah, but despite those strides, we're still significantly below the vast majority of the districts that we're compared to.
Absolutely. Very bottom.
Overall revenue, Derek.
Yes. So we are very much tax levy dependent. It actually makes up about 63% of our revenue. The other big part is our state aid. State aid equates for about 33% of our budget. Unfortunately, we don't have a say in state aid, so it is what it is. So being very tax dependent, this whole budget is riding on the acceptance of the tax levy. Our major increases are, as I said, the tax levy, we're going up 5.19%, despite the budget going up 7.19%, and that's largely due to that increase in state aid. Other things that we took into account were we have been charging for rental and facilities, so we're recognizing that big increase from 8,000 to 40,000, and we're using a little bit more of our reserves. So last year we only used $529,000 of our unused budget from prior budgets or prior school years. This year we're looking to use about $1 million for next year's budget.
All right, so this is where we get into three really important concepts. The first is we've talked about so far, we have a 7.19% budget to budget increase between this year's budget and next year's operating budget. The significant reasons why are we're adding over 30 staff to our budget to right size our understaffed areas, and healthcare costs have significantly increased. Despite that 7.19%, that is not that is not how much your taxes will be increasing next year. The tax levy, which is a portion, and as Derek said, a large portion of the total revenue, that is going up 5.19%. That's the entire levy for the Victor Central School District area. Now, the majority of that levy of 5.19% is because of the growth of our community. Doesn't necessarily equate to specific enrollment growth for next year or the year after, but the growth potential of this entire community, which includes commercial property, as well as homes, as well as home values. So we have somewhere I think it's the 6th or 7th greatest growth factor in terms of any school district in New York State. We're also one of only 2 counties that is growing right now, the other being Saratoga. So we have a significant growth factor, which makes up the majority of the tax cap, of that 5.19% tax cap. Most importantly, drilling down to the individual homeowners and business owners, or most of the business owners, depending on what they have, the tax rate will increase between this year and next year less than 2%, which is 1.83% estimated because we don't finalize the tax rolls till this summer. We anticipate that tax rate increase of 1.83% will actually be smaller than that. If you remember, last year's tax rate to this year's tax rate actually decreased, even though we added positions this year. We don't know if that tax rate will go all the way down to 0 or less, but we do have a strong feeling that it'll be less than 1.83%. At the highest, it would be 1.83%, and that is still less than a 2% increase. So your actual taxes are going up 1.83% at the max. If you look at a similar comparison, Derek showed you the per pupil expenditure comparison. If you look at a similar comparison now for tax rate, this year our tax rate is 16.83, which is significantly less than the county averages in Ontario, Wayne, and Monroe. With our 1.83% increase, we anticipate a tax rate of $17.14 per $1,000 on a home. That is also significantly less than Ontario County, Wayne County, and Monroe County. Using the same numbers as this year for those 3 counties, we expect those to increase for next year, which means we would even have greater separation in terms of our tax rate comparison with not just Monroe County, but also Wayne and Ontario County. A way to look at this is that if we kept the 1.83% tax rate increase, and again, that we do believe that will decrease, but if it stays at 1.83%, you're going to get approximately a $30.84 increase on a $100,000 home in terms of the taxes for that home, a $61.68 increase per year for a $200,000 home, and a $92.52 increase per year for a $300,000 home. Oh, go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
Yeah, we have just a couple questions, and I'm going to read them off here. So the first one is a 2-part question. It says, why would we want our goal to be to equal or surpass other schools in per pupil spending? And why not see if you can give the same or better education with less per pupil spending?
So our goal isn't necessary. This is the cost per pupil spending. I'm showing the 2 charts. I don't think our goal is to be the same or exceed these districts in terms of the per pupil expenditures. First of all, I think that's almost impossible anyway, because those other counties and the districts in those counties will continue to increase. But our goal is to, as I talked about, right size our staffing so that we have the ability to serve over 4,000 kids in an adequate fashion. And so that we can provide counselors, psychologists, social workers, average class sizes for a district our size. So we can provide safety and security. So we can provide high school courses that are comprehensive and match course offerings from other districts. That's where this per pupil expenditure increase factors in, because that really means, and that's why our budget to budget is the greatest increase when you compare budget to budget with levy and then rate. So certainly we, and I think that's one of our, I know that's one of our budget goals, is to balance the needs of the community with the needs of our students. But our goal isn't to get to $28,000 per pupil expenditure similar to Ontario County. Our goal is to, however, right size our staffing and then take advantage in a good way of the state funding that we're getting to stabilize our tax rate increases, which are still significantly less than most districts. Did I answer both of those questions or not, Derek?
I believe so.
Feel free to add anything on that.
Yeah, and we have a few more questions too. So the next one is, Victor is becoming way too administrator heavy. You need to look at ways to decrease your need for all the staff and backfill their positions with teachers. Why is there a need for 4.1 FTE for just enrollment?
You kind of fade out when you turn your head to the question. So if you just say it one more time, that'd be great.
Yes, so I'm going to try to move my computer. Victor is becoming too administrator heavy. You need to take a look at ways to decrease your need for all these staff and backfill their positions with teachers. Why is there a need for 4.1 FTE for just enrollment?
All right, so let's go back to that slide. So that's actually two questions, I think. One is the person believes that we're administrative heavy in this district. Well, I'd say 2 points to that. If you look at comparison data with other districts, we're actually pretty much one of the smallest administrative ratios in the area with a district our size. So we don't believe we're administrative heavy. We do believe, and we are restructuring positions, administrative positions in special education and instruction offices, but we're not adding administrative positions. We're restructuring current positions. The only addition actually is a teacher leader. So, and in the sense, we are not, in my opinion, based upon looking at the facts and the data of comparable districts, we're not administrative heavy, but we actually have less ratios than many districts. And even with the shifts in administrative restructuring to better support special education and our overall curriculum and instruction office, we're not adding administrative positions. We are simply restructuring them to what we believe is a higher priority and just making it more efficient. In terms of the enrollment FTEs, those primarily have to do with the K-6 level. And what we've tried to do is get our class sizes in the kindergarten to first grade, maybe even close to the second grade level of under 20, because we really believe that 18 to 20 students at the youngest age is much more compatible to being able to meet the needs of those students. We had some bubbles in terms of section sizes this year at the 4 through 6 level, actually the 3rd through 6th level. And so we needed to add some FTEs in those areas to get our class sizes in the low 20s, 21, 22, and 23. And that's where the addition comes from. It's really to stabilize some of the class sizes at the kindergarten through 6th grade level. We haven't done as much. I think it comes out to be a net, maybe a little above a 0, but close to 0 in terms of grades 7 through 12 in terms of enrollment increases. But this is to really stabilize the class sizes as much as possible. Again, 18 to 20 at the earliest levels, and then 20 to 23, hopefully 22 if possible, at the grades 3 through 6 level.
And then the next 3 questions are kind of all tied together. So I'll read off the questions and I'll answer these ones. So the first one is, does the school already know what the new property assessments are going to be? The answer to that is not quite yet, but we have a general idea. The tax rules do not get finalized until June 30th, but in end of January, early February, the state gives us what they call the growth factor of the different communities, which is what the counties are reporting to the state of the growth within our community. And they reported that our community is growing at a rate of 3.31%. So to answer the question, no, we don't currently know the property assessments, but we do have a general idea, and that's what we use to formulate our estimate. The
I
next question.
also, Derek, I
sorry.
just want to add to that, talking to Mr. Mayor and our the Victor Town Supervisor, when I presented at the town board last week regarding our strategic plan, he made it very clear that the Victor Town is not doing a reassessment this year. I'm not sure exactly what Farmington is doing, but I know that the Victor Town is not doing a reassessment for this coming year.
Great. The next question is the 1.83% on top of the 2% you are already allotted? So that one is the misconception that the state sent out when they kind of coined this the 2% tax cap, because it's not a true 2% tax cap. When they referred to the 2% tax cap, they were referring to a cap on inflation. So there's multiple factors that go into the tax calculation. One is the growth factor. One is our pilots. Some of it is our debt payments. And the third is the consumer pricing index or inflation. So the 1.83 is comprised of both the cap of 2% in inflation, but also nets down for the spread of the levy, the assumed increase in property values that is growing at 3.31. So the 1.83 is not on top of 2, it's inclusive of that 2%.
Well, okay, and I just want to clarify too, Derek, and you can help me with this.
Yep.
Because the other way to look at this is I think this person might be talking about the 1.83% tax rate increase.
Yep.
And tax rate is not the same as the tax cap. The tax cap is on the entire levy for the school district. Our levy actually has a greater than 2% tax cap. It's at 5.19%. And that's what Derek's talking about, I believe, which is because we have such growth in our community, our tax cap is actually above the 2% number. It's at 5.19%, but the majority of it is because of our growth. Now, but that is not what your taxes go up. That's the entire levy of the community. Your taxes increase based upon your home value and the spread and the number of homes and businesses across the entire community that breaks that levy into small pieces. And what your actual rate is 1.83% increase at the most. It might be less than that. And has nothing to do with a 2% number. The 2% number has to do with the levy. The 1.83% is what your taxes actually go up. And it's not in addition to 2%. It's 1.83% at the most.
Yep. And then the last part of this question is the numbers you are giving for tax increases is bogus. You do not know what the assessments are going to be. And I wouldn't say they're bogus, they're just estimates. So when we tried to determine what the increase of individual taxpayers were going to be, we basically ran the same tax cap or tax calculation that we would run for the tax bills for last year, but we increased what our assessment values were when we did that calculation last year. We increased it for 3.31%, which was what the state had told us at the end of January, end of February, and then we reran the calculation. But you're correct that in the fact that the assessments are not finalized. So as assessments go up, it will dilute that number. So it would actually drive down the true tax rate, but overall, the cost per individuals, if their assessment increased proportionally, everybody went up the same, we're looking at the 1.83% increase. So I wouldn't say they're bogus, they are an estimate. We don't know the final assessments, but given the information we have, we know our community is growing at 3.31% roughly. So that's where that calculation comes in.
All right, should we move? You want to move to propositions?
Yeah, we don't have any other questions at this time. So the budget is going to be the first part that is going to be your first proposition that you'll see when you come to the polls on May 17th. The second one that you're going to see is the district is looking to purchase 7 buses for the 23-24 school year. This has been a practice that we've always done, and this is for a couple of years down the road. So it's not for the immediate next school year. Last May, the community approved the proposition to allow us purchase buses next school year. The cost of these 7 school buses is a little over $1 million. The buses that we're looking to replace currently to this day are all over 10 years old. They're about 12 years old and well in excess of 100,000 miles. In addition to the bus purchase, the district is looking to establish a bus purchase reserve of $6 million. The goal of this is to establish a savings account up to $6 million. It doesn't necessarily have to be $6 million in order to start funding future purchases of buses. And the way that we would ideally see this in the future is that we are able to offset the local share because we only get reimbursed about 66% on the buses. So if we can make up that 33% by paying for it up front and not having to borrow it, we can have our debt payment equal to our state aid on that number, and therefore it will be tax levy neutral. Additionally, there's been a lot of chatter that's been coming around about these new electric buses. New York State would like to have no more buses purchased that are diesel or gasoline run effective 2030, I believe it is. And the significant difference between a diesel run bus to electric bus is the current buses that we were talking about in the prior proposition. They were about $160,000 for a 77 passenger bus. The quotes that we're hearing for the electric buses are $400,000 and up. Currently, the federal government has put out that there's going to be some money to help offset some of these costs, but with that, there's going to be infrastructure too that we have to plan for. So to protect the tax levy in the future, we're looking to try to create a little bit of a savings account to offset tax levies in the future.
So basically, we're asking the public to approve this reserve. You're not approving us, you're not increasing the tax rate by doing this. You're allowing us to create a bus savings reserve, which hopefully then eliminates our need to do this, which we have to do this year, which is basically purchase over $1 million worth of school buses that then needs to be paid off over, what is it, 10, how many years do we have to pay that off?
5 years.
5 years, which costs money in debt. So we're trying to eliminate debt, as Derek explained much better than I did, by creating this bus purchase reserve.
And the next proposition from the district is going to be another capital reserve. Again, we're going out at the $10 million limit. That was the same that the community approved last year. Since that time, the district has gone through every 5 years, our architects have to go through our buildings, our existing facilities, and identify needs such as roofs, asbestos, window damage. That has come back since the previous vote at about $27 million. So that $10 million reserve that the community supported last year could help us repair our existing facilities with no implication to the tax cap. But with the projected enrollment to increase in the future years and the timeline that it takes from conceptions to the vote to groundbreaking to when the building is ready, we need to kind of prepare for this future enrollment that's coming down. It takes about 4 years from conception to ribbon cutting on any new facilities. So this new $10 million that we're looking for the community to support would help us to create additional new learning classroom space for the new students that will be arriving on campus in a couple of years.
So
Again,
go ahead. Sorry. No, you go ahead.
Again, this is just a savings up to $10 million. As Dr. Terranova pointed out, we're not raising taxes for it. The budget has contingency for when bad things happen. And when these bad things don't happen at the end of the year, we're able to use that unused contingency fund and fund these reserves. So that's the goal, is to try to stabilize future tax increases.
Any more questions, Mr. Valise?
One's coming in right now. And this one says, do you replace buses every year? So yes, currently we do replace buses every year. A few of them, we're trying to get a better grasp of a proper refresh schedule. We've been kind of fixing things as we go along, but yes, every year we do purchase buses.
Any other questions?
Not right now.
All right. So you want to go over this slide or you want me to?
It's up to you.
Why don't you take it? And then I'll talk about the board race.
Yeah, absolutely. So on May 3rd, we will have another presentation. This is a legal requirement. It's called the budget hearing. And following our meeting, we're going to have a Meet the Candidates night that's presented by the PTSA, High, and Voice. And then on May 17th is our actual budget vote. That's 6 in the morning to 9 p.m. In previous school years, we've held this budget over in the primary school gymnasium. This year, we're going to do it at the ECS boardroom. So you can come in right through the front doors of the ECS, right by the auditorium. And once you get past the office, you'll be directed to go right and you'll get into the boardroom where our four the ballot readers will be. So
And then,
new location.
and then the May 3rd budget hearing is actually going to be in the junior high, senior high auditorium. But I
Yep.
believe it's going to be live streamed as well.
I believe so as well.
So, and that again, it's also important because it's Meet the Candidates night. In terms of the other piece that's on the budget vote or on the vote on May 17th is the board election. There are 3 openings and 3 individuals running for those 3 seats. We have incumbents Tim DeLucia and Kristen Elliott who are running, as well as Lisa Kostecki, who has not run for the board before and is somebody who is running this year. And again, so Lisa Kostecki, Tim DeLucia, and Kristen Elliott are running for 3 seats. So there's 3 openings and 3 people running for those seats. Another person, a person who decided not to run was Christopher Eckhart. Christopher's been on the board for 3 years. I've worked with him very closely since I started in February of 2020. He'll be a significant loss on this Board of Education. Really appreciated his wisdom, his advice, and his expertise around financial matters, as well as many other areas, and just was a great board member to work with. We'll miss him significantly, but he's decided not to run again. And so we are thankful that we have 3 individuals running now, 2 incumbents, as well as Lisa Kostecki for the 3 openings for a 3-year Board of Education term. All 3 will be at Meet the Candidates night on May 3rd to answer questions from the PTSA. So Mr. Valise, 2 things. 1, any other new questions that you see?
Not this time.
Any summary, anything you want to add before we end the presentation, Derek?
And not this time either.
Yeah, so I would just summarize by saying, and I'll kind of put this number back up. We've had some incredible support from the community. We've had some incredible support from the advocacy for the state. Because of that, we've been able to take a financial situation that was significantly dire for multiple years, and really rectified that because of the leadership of this Board of Education and the community and the hard work of our staff and our community. The combination of the state aid, the tax base, and the strategic use of federal stimulus money has really put us in a great position. We're able to increase the budget by 7.19% between this year and next year, to then, because we can take the money through those areas, especially tied to the increased state aid, and support significantly understaffed areas that we talked about earlier, to better position our district to meet the needs of all of our kids. It's an extraordinary district. It was extraordinary long before I got here, and this should help continue that wonderful tradition of Victor Central School District moving forward. In addition, I think the great news in all this from a financial standpoint is, despite the budget to budget increase, our tax rate increase, which is what the individual homeowners will pay in terms of a tax increase, is less than 2% for next year. And most likely will be even less than the 1.83% that we're projecting. And the other good news is we're not going to go year to year adding this many positions every year. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. We're getting much closer to the adequate staffing levels that we need. And by creating reserves or savings accounts, if you call them, to support future purchases, whether they're buses or facilities maintenance or even the need to potentially increase the blueprint of our facilities to take into account potential increased enrollment over the next 5 to 10 years. By having those propositions in play, we can save the money necessary to stabilize and continue to stabilize the tax rate increases over many years. So there's a lot of good news out there, but I understand there's concerns around anytime we talk about a budget. So we welcome your questions. Please, you can email me at terranovat@victorschools.org anytime and ask questions around the budget. You can call my office as well. As Derek said, that we're also doing the May 3rd budget presentation, budget hearing, as well as meet the candidates night. And I encourage everybody to go to our website, victorschools.org, go to the budget section. It'll be budget 22-23 budget development. We'll have all of the presentations that led up to the budget adoption by the school board in April. It will also have this particular budget presentation on there and future budget presentations. And I think, Derek, we're also trying to get on there, making sure we get a Q&A document around our budget, as well as a fast facts budget document. When do you anticipate those to be ready so that the public can take a quick look at that and answer a lot of their questions?
Sherry and I will be working on that for the rest of this week and into next week. So it depends on the printer, so I don't have a time at this time, but we will start getting them. We like to put the facts on the website the 10 days leading up to the budget vote. And just to carry out what you said, as they send you questions, we can kind of work them into our May 3rd presentation and try to address the communities. Anything that anybody has come up with that we didn't think of that we could share in the May 3rd, it'd be appreciated.
That's great. Yeah, so we're going to have a question and answer document as well as fast facts on our website in the very near future. Just a quick reminder, or actually a shout out to Victor's Got Talent. Join us this Friday night for the first annual Victor's Got Talent, which is a showcase of talents from Victor's Senior High students and staff. There's going to be singing and dancing, music and art, and many surprises. Tickets are a $5 donation at the door, and all proceeds go to an incredible high school club called the Victor Cares Club, which does a tremendous amount for our students and our staff at Victor Senior High School. That's this Friday, April 22nd at 7 p.m. Junior Senior High School Auditorium. Again, we're asking for a $5 donation to the Victor Cares Club, but this is going to be a great night. And then we have the following Friday, we have the staff. We have a staff music and art presentation for the community. That's April 29th. That will also be at the junior senior high school. And in addition, the May 3rd budget, it is definite. The May 3rd budget presentation, as well as meet the candidates night, will be live streamed. And all the presentations are on the website that we've given already around the budget. They're on our website, victorschools.org, and we're going to have this one up by tomorrow. So, Derek, anything else you want to add?
No, just thank you for everybody that tuned in tonight.
Yeah, and this will be put on Facebook as well as our own website if people want to watch it later. Mr. Valise, thank you so much for your leadership. Really appreciated. You obviously are spearheading our financial strategy, and it's greatly appreciated by me. So thanks, everybody. We have one more town hall in May, and that's a town hall that I'm really excited about. We're going to celebrate our seniors who are graduating in June. So we hope to have a number of our senior individuals, senior class representatives on the town hall for next May or for next month, and celebrating the class of 2022. Have a great night, everybody. Continue to send us your questions and take care. Thank you.